today I'm going to do a review of Focallure's eye palettes. Now, wow, the sparkly background really doesn't go with this whole like black hoodie kind of thing, huh? But this hoodie is super comfy, so I'm gonna wear it. If you guys like my eyes, I do have the tutorial for it. I'll link it above and below. Anyway, so Focallure is a brand that's getting very popular in Indonesia. It's a brand that I formerly swore I never want to try because, as a lot of people mentioned, the ingredient list seems kind of sketchy. And that's why I resisted ordering, but it's getting really popular in Indonesia lately, maybe because the distributor of Focallure has sponsored a lot of beauty bloggers to review them and recommend them. So it's getting very, very popular, and I thought maybe I'd buy them myself and give my honest review. So I ordered from the official Focallure store in AliExpress, and I got my stuff within a week. I was in Singapore when they arrived, so I'm not sure exactly when it arrived, but I got everything posted within a week, which was awesome. And when they arrived, I noticed several stuff were damaged, so that kind of gave me a bad impression, but you know what? That happens. You know, shipping damages happen. It's a bit worrying. One of the items seemed to be completely ripped off. I don't know how that could happen during shipping. I don't know whether they gave me a defective batch that wasn't properly sealed or really shipping damage was that bad. Since I bought so many items, I decided to split this review up into eye products, face products, and then finally lip products. So this is the review for the eye products. For the eye products, I got the Twilight 18 Shade Eyeshadow Palette, the Everchanging Palette. So this is a bit strange. So the front says Everchanging, but the back says Tropical Vacation Eyeshadow Palette. So yeah, it's a bit strange. I also got the 9 Colors Eyeshadow Palette. This one is 05. And I also got their Loose Pigment in Blue Brown. It's supposed to be a rip-off of the matte Blue Brown pigment. Before I applied these, of course, I decided to test them out on my arms first. I swatched them on my arms and left them on for the whole day. I became my own human guinea pig. So let's look at the swatches, shall we? As you can see from these swatches, the mattes are not performing that well. As you can see, you really need primer for the matte products. The shimmers did better, but the mattes really needed primer. And I have to admit, it was extremely frustrating swatching these. So the inner part of the swatches is over bare skin and the outer parts are on primer. I nearly threw the palette across the room multiple times because it was just so hard to get an even layer. It was making me so frustrated, and I was dreading wearing it on my eyes because, oh my god, it was just terrible. A lot of the colors go streaky, especially the blue and Everchanging. It's called Mystery. That one was just so streaky. This palette is still my favorite out of all the palettes I got though, because the colors are really pretty. For the Twilight palette, I decided to arrange the swatches according to which colors are similar to each other, just to see the difference between the colors. And I find that several colors are practically dupes of each other. Like, I could hardly tell the difference between Sunrise and Need Fire. Magic and Chili are also nearly identical dupes. It's very hard to tell them apart. Camel and Naked are really close to each other to the point where when they're on your eyes, it's hard to tell them apart. I mean, there's slight difference. One is white, one is slightly yellow tone cream, but they're still so incredibly alike that, you know, unless you're really looking out for it, you can't tell the difference. And Copper Rose, Summon, and Party are actually like similar colors, just with different shifts. Party just looks like Copper Rose with red glitter, while Summon looks like Copper Rose with a blue shift instead. So they're very alike. When you pat them on, you can't tell the difference, but once they're blended out on your eyes, it's going to be hard to tell the difference between them. So you better really like these 3 colors because it's almost like getting one color, which you can just pat highlighter over to change. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed because it feels like I'm getting 13 colors instead of 18. So yeah, slightly disappointing, but not a deal breaker for most people, I understand. If you guys are interested in seeing the tutorial for the Everchanging palette, I have a pictorial. It's on Instagram and I'll link it below. As for the 9 eyeshadow collection, I'm not applying these on my eyes and I'll give you my reasons. So when I opened the package, I noticed it's really dirty. There's dust and there's pigment. And initially I thought, okay, maybe some of the eyeshadow's cracked and the pigment's inside. But turns out the inner part was clean. The pigment and the dust and stuff was on the outer part of the eyeshadow, which makes me think, okay, I mean, it looks like it probably came from the factory. So I don't know whether this was packed hygienically because there's actually pigment on top of this container underneath the plastic wrapping. And that kind of scared me because it made me feel that this thing isn't clean. So while I did swatch it, I don't think I'm applying it on my eyes because that kind of grosses me out. So yeah, safety first, not gonna apply it on my eye. The loose pigment is not exactly loose pigment. They did put silicones in it, so it's kind of semi-loose. They do ball up. As you can see from the swatches, they do tend to chunk up and sometimes, it looks very chunky and messy. So getting an even layer with this is slightly difficult. I haven't tried the MAC Blue Brown pigment yet, so I don't know whether it's like that. But I do have Fire and Ace eyeshadows, which are loose pigment eyeshadows. And the Fire and Ace eyeshadows are not as chunky as this. So I'm not that big of a fan of the formula for this. As I mentioned before, I wasn't a fan of the Twilight palette just because there's too many colors that are dupes of each other. The Everchanging palette is better. The colors are original, so they're not close to each other. So you do feel like you're getting 14 different colors, which is awesome. But I mentioned Mystery, the blue shade, was really streaky while I was swatching. And when I applied it on my eyes, it was extremely streaky and quite a pain to blend out. So this color was quite annoying, but the rest is not so bad. I do notice that the darker mattes tend to be harder to blend out and harder to apply. I'm not sure what's going on. And a white shade here, Salt, as well as Naked and Camel from Twilight, tend to look slightly sheer. So yeah, I guess they're nice for a subtle highlight, but when I really want the color to come out, it's not happening. These eyeshadows are also really soft. I haven't bought the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette yet because of all the bad reviews, but I'm imagining this is just as bad. When I was applying it on my eyes, there was fallout everywhere. My face was terrible. I really regretted putting my foundation on before eyeshadow because I had to redo my foundation. It's just lots of fallout, crazy amounts. My palette is already really dirty. I've only used this twice, once for swatching and once for this eye look I'm wearing right now. After just one swatch session, this palette already looks like the Ravage palette in a drugstore during Black Friday. It's that bad. It's just falling apart everywhere. So extremely messy. And what frustrates me about it is it's not exactly a loose powder eyeshadow, even though the fallout is just as bad. As a result, with loose eyeshadow, yeah, there's a lot of fallout, but at least the advantages of loose eyeshadow is that it's really easy to pat on. They're less likely to streak. While this, every time you pat it on, there's sometimes like chunks of pigment that you have to kind of rub out. And when you're rubbing out, there's a lot of loose pigments falling everywhere. So I feel like it's the worst of both worlds. Like it doesn't have the advantages of loose pigment eyeshadows or pressed pigment eyeshadows, or even semi-pressed formulas like the NYX Mochi palette where it's bouncy. Yeah, I don't know how they managed to do it. The metallic pigments, I have to concede, they're really nice to apply. They're smooth. Lots of fallout, unfortunately. They were just falling all over my face, and my face looked like a disco ball. But the colors apply pretty smoothly and I'm very happy with that. So there's pros and cons if you're just going for the colors and you don't care about the fallout and stuff. I do know some people love the Subculture palette even with all the problems people voiced out. If you just like the colors, this palette is actually not that bad. It's not the worst. It can be improved, but it's pretty good. It's something that I could easily see myself using every day. Sure, I'll probably apply my eyeshadow first before the rest of my face just because I know for sure there's gonna be a lot of fallout. So yeah, that's the review for the formulas. And I did mention about the ingredients list before. So I checked the ingredient list for all of these, and this this and this all have the same ingredient list. Everything's identical, including the pigments, and they don't write may contain blah 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 pigments. So normally, you know, it's quite a pain to print a different ingredient list for so many different shades. So what a lot of companies do is that, say they have 15 different shades, they just put in the ingredients list, and for the pigment they just put may contain these pigments. So they'll put like maybe 6-7 different pigments, and that should cover all the pigments that all 15 shades contain. That's normal standard procedure. However, over here they don't put may contain, they just list all the pigments, which technically means that all those pigments exist in these products, which could be possible, okay. Only what makes me a bit confused is this blue doesn't exist in this eyeshadow palette. Where is the pigment for this? Either they missed out the pigments for this blue and, you know, this purple, or that blue pigment and purple pigment is contained in these two as well, and this one little bottle contains as many different pigments as everything in this palette and everything in this palette, which I think is completely unlikely. Or instead of putting may contain, they forgot to put may contain, and it's just, I guess, a typing error. So it seems like a little thing, but for me it does make me a bit worried, because it makes me think, do you really care about the ingredients if you miss out something small like this? I know it's really, really small, but I guess for me, the small things matter. It does make me worry. I think ingredient lists are very, very important, especially because my skin is so finicky. So when the company producing the products don't seem to care about ingredients and can even make a mistake in the naming. I mean, Everchanging and Tropical Vacation. For the Twilight Palette, the description kinda doesn't make sense. It's a bit broken English-ish. But you know what? English isn't everybody's first language. I'll ignore that. Maybe it's not made for an English market. But typos? There's another typo here. There's a spell checker in every computer. Typos? Come on. Big glaring typos like this, like eyeshadowed and a crease. It makes me kind of nervous, because typos are something easy to correct. While, you know, grammar and punctuation may be a bit more challenging, typos is a bit unacceptable. And I know I sound like a language snob, but it's just, for me, I find that glaring typos show a lack of care. It just makes me think that the manufacturer just doesn't give a shit about what goes on my face, and that makes me a bit nervous. If they don't care enough to take a look at a spell checker, then what else are they overlooking? That does make me worry. Some of you may think it's no big deal, but it's just a personal preference. For me, it really does make me worry. I know lately there's this new weird sentiment where people get very offended when you say you don't trust items from China, because they'll be going, hey, you're racist. And as somebody who lived in China, I think it's a valid concern, because I've encountered some pretty bad fake products there. So I think worrying about ingredients is totally valid. And I'm not dismissing these products just because they're made in China. I'm dismissing them because the actual ingredients list looks like they're created by somebody who doesn't give a f. So of course I'm worried. Now, these palettes are cheap. They are cheap, which is why I think they're so popular. The prices in the Focallure store just varies a lot, because they seem to be perpetually on sale. And sometimes the same items are listed twice with different prices. It's really strange. There's really no difference between the listings. Everything's completely identical, but the prices are different. So that store is a bit confusing, and again, I really feel like this entire brand just lacks attention to details, and they don't care at all. Really, the whole point is just to churn out as many products as possible at as cheap of a price. And you know, I'm not hating on cheap makeup. I'll give you recommendations for cheap makeup later. But anyway, I'll give you the prices for these. This little bottle is $7.12, which I consider pretty expensive, because a Fire and eyeshadow, which I trust completely because I know that they make good quality stuff and the ingredient lists are accurate and done with care. A Fire and eyeshadow, this is probably the size of 2 Fire and eyeshadows, and the price will be about the same. Only Fire and I can trust. This is a bit sketchy, so I think $7 is kind of expensive. This one I bought on sale for $7.36, which is extremely cheap. So yeah, this is very, very, very cheap. I concede that. This I got for $11.28. So yeah, these products are really, really cheap. So if you're looking for a bargain, these products seems to be the way to go. But there are better makeup out there that's similar in price or even cheaper if you think about it, and they're safer. The first brand I'd like to recommend is BH Cosmetics. You guys know I bought the It's My Ray Ray palette and I love it. I really love it so much that I just hauled hard from BH Cosmetics. I promise I'll do the review once my stuff is here because otherwise I feel like a hoarder. I bought so much from them because they are really fantastic quality. The It's My Ray Ray palette, I bought it for $28, but now I see it's on sale for $15 only. And even looking at it, $22. So the price is about 3 times the price of this. But it comes with 15 eyeshadow shades, 3 huge highlighting shades, and 3 huge bronzing shades. And the quality is superb. It's so good that for just one of the highlighters, I will gladly pay $28 for it. So that's the kind of quality it has. So the quality is easily 3 to 4 times the quality of this because the mattes are a dream. Whether you're swatching them or applying them on bare skin or on primer, they perform really, really well. It's just such a dream. I love that palette. So you're getting 21 colors. Well, over here it's technically 18 colors, but I say it's closer to just 13 colors. So personally for me, just for the peace of mind, the better quality, and the additional colors, I would rather get the BH Cosmetics palette than this. I'm not hating on this because it's cheap. I'm just hating on it because there are better palettes for better prices out there. Another brand I'd like to recommend is unfortunately an Indonesian brand. It's only available in Indonesia, but if you really, really like it, let me know. Maybe I can help ship it to you or something, but that brand is amazing. It's Makeover. If you see my tutorials, it's my go-to highlight and contour palette as well as my color correcting palette. The prices are so affordable. Like for that amazing color correcting palette, it's only $12. It's my go-to present for all my friends because the quality is better than the $60 palettes I used to get, and it's just so cheap. So this brand is another brand I highly recommend. Sure, it's not as fashionable color-wise as this palette, and they're a bit slow to come up with new products, but for staples in your collection, this brand is amazing. And another brand that I can recommend for really good eyeshadows will be NYX Cosmetics. Their eyeshadows used to be terrible, but since the Perfect Filter palette onwards, their eyeshadow palettes have been really top-notch. So that's another alternative to this Focallure product. So I'm so sorry I sound so cranky in this video. I swear it's not because I'm, in a bad mood in my hoodie and stuff. It's just that I'm not happy with this product. Sure, when I applied them on my eyes, besides the fallout, it's still, it's pretty nice. It's not the worst eyeshadow palette out there, and it does seem worth it for the price, but I personally think that for me, it's not worth it. I rather spend a bit more to get a much better quality and a peace of mind. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this entire thing. I'll be reviewing the face products and the lip products in the next few videos. I hope I won't be this cranky. I really hope I won't. No promises. If I do any additional makeup tutorials with these palettes, I'll be sure to link it below. Anyway, if there's any questions I haven't answered, please ask in the comments below and I'll try to answer it as best as I can. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll know what kind of videos to make next. If there's any other brands you'd like me to review, also let me know in the comments below. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.